Hello, I have had an incredibly lazy morning, which is why it's almost 12 o'clock and I'm only now going for my run. My goal is to do 5 kilometers without stopping and then come home, and that's it, because I don't really have that much time because I've got something on at 2 and I want to shower and everything. But I've had a problem with my leg, and I will talk about that after the run because I've just warmed up, so I don't want to stop and talk to you for too long. But it means that if it starts to hurt too much, I'm gonna have to stop earlier. So I'm not gonna set an actual goal on my phone because otherwise I'll be very disappointed. I'm just gonna try and do 5K, but also listen to my body, and I will tell you more about that after. I'm gonna head off now. I'll see you later. Hello, I'm just back from the run, as you can probably tell. I did end up doing 5 kilometers and it wasn't impossible, but I'll talk about that more later once I've got time and I'm a bit more human. But I'm in my sport clothes anyway, and I've heard it's good to do strength training directly after a run because it keeps your body engaged or whatever, it's challenging your body more. So we're gonna try and do some now. Now, I always anyway do some squats and some lunges after a run, so I'm gonna start with that, and while I'm doing that, I'm gonna have a look at the stuff I saved on Instagram that is recommended for strength training. Let's go. In fact, you can watch me, kinda. That'll have to do. All right, that's 20 squats done. I also always do a 1-minute plank after. But before I do either of those, I'm gonna have a look at this Instagram, which says, I don't know what stretches to do after a run. Child pose, cobra. But that's stretches, I don't want that, because I'll do those later. I do plan to make a list in my notebook at some point of pre-run stretches or warm-up, post-run stretches, and post-run or during, like, anytime strengthening exercises. Single leg deadlift. All right, let's see if we can do that. Glute raises, which I can also do, and one-legged. Single leg squat, okay. And soleus, oh, okay, let's try that one first. That looks like it's gonna feel good. So squat position, oh, and raise. It doesn't feel like it's doing anything. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Okay, I don't know what that's doing. Let's try the single leg squats. Oh, I don't like that, I'm not good at that. Wait, no, he did his leg behind him, I think. Or there was another one with the leg behind. I'll try the other leg. Oh, that feels good. It might be feeling good in the wrong place though, I'm not sure. All right, what else? Oh, hip things, I'll do that. I don't think you'll be able to see me though. So I've done 5 regular, and I'm gonna put 1 foot up, I think, and do it. Is that right? This feels like it's very hard. Oh, I don't like that. I don't think I was doing that one right. I'm gonna do a 1-minute-long plank now, which again, you probably won't be able to see. So I'm gonna stop recording for a moment, do the plank, try and find a few more exercises and put on some music, and I will try and see you when I'm doing more. Okay, I did a plank, and then I did side planks as well, and then I did I think it's called the bear pose, where you're like on your fours but your knees are off the ground. So I've done a couple of things. Now I'm gonna do, I had a look online and a lot of them say squats, so I've already done that, but I might do more. A few of them say reverse lunges, which is something I'm not very good at, but I'll do that now. And there was also calf raises, which I can just do like now, I guess, just where you can't see my feet, but just up and down. I'm doing them together at the moment, but maybe I should do single. I feel like single doesn't really do very much though. I saw some things about heel walks as well, but I think that's more before the run. And then I saw single leg lifts, so I'm gonna try that, but I don't know if I'm doing it right, we'll see. I think it's just like that. Do you just hold it? Do I go lower? My floor is uneven. I think I might need to get a yoga mat because I've got like, the only place where I can do stretches is here, and the floorboards, one of them's higher than the other, so it's not the most comfortable or aligned. I just don't know if what I'm doing is right. Right, let's do these reverse lunges, which I hate so much. I don't know if I'm supposed to do like a few in a row, keep switching legs, I don't really know. I just can't get the positioning right when I do this. All right, I think I'm gonna leave it there in terms of strength. I might do another few squats because it's the only thing I feel I can do, definitely. To be fair, I've done like 25 minutes now of cooling down and strength training, and I'm gonna do a few more like comfortable stretches, you know, just to like make my body feel good. So by the time I'm done with my like strengthening / cool down, it'll probably be half an hour. But I feel like I need to source some more strength training exercises that are not reliant on the gym or weights, because I don't have access to a gym and I currently don't have weights. Maybe at some point I'll get some, but it's not a priority for me. And the whole point of running was to do things for free. So I want to try and find things I can just do with the weight of my own body. Right, let's do a few more squats and I'm gonna shower and then I will speak to you after if I have time. Yay. Hello. So I ran 5 kilometers. Let me tell you about this thing that I was hinting at before. When I started at drama school, I noticed quite quickly that I kept having this pain in my lower left leg. And at the time I just thought it was overuse and whatever, but it wasn't really going away, and it didn't matter how much I stretched or how much I rested, it just didn't seem to fully disappear. So I got an x-ray done at the time, and I was diagnosed with this sort of chronic condition, which doesn't hugely affect my life, thank goodness, but it's located in my lower left leg and means that it's likely to flare up when I'm doing a lot of exercise, including dance, and as I've learned in the last week or two, including running. And I had completely forgotten about this because, as I say, it doesn't really affect my life. And whenever it does get sore there, I just put it down to overuse and I try and stretch it out, and over a few days, it usually goes away. But I noticed after my long run on Thursday, that evening it was starting to hurt a little bit. And I think I mentioned it in my Sunday run as well, that it was still a little bit sore. And even yesterday it was still there. And I was like, this is really odd because I've now had 2 days of not running. And even on Sunday it was a short run. So it doesn't really make sense with how much I'm trying to stretch it and how much I'm sort of trying to control it, that it's not disappearing. And it's not a very horrible pain, it's very mild, but it's there, it's present. And I suddenly remembered about this diagnosis from a few years ago. So I messaged my mum, because she's a doctor, and I said, do you think this could be why I'm hurting, and do you think this is likely to, cause further major issues and injuries? Or do you think it's gonna hurt because I've got this condition and, it's not gonna be the end of the world? So I spoke to her last night and she said it's not likely to cause major injuries or stress fractures or anything like that, which is what I was really worried about. But if you keep running on it and if it keeps hurting, then eventually it's going to get to a point where you're even going to struggle to stand and walk on it. So, and obviously that will go away. It's not going to be permanent, but you're going to have to take it slow with your training. So that's obviously not wonderful. And she also said, as a result, this race might be the last running you do, and then you might need to find a different hobby, which is kind of a shame because I have really been enjoying running and I do want to keep doing it and I want to keep improving. I want to see what I can reach. I don't want to run a marathon. That's definitely not on the cards for me, but I just want to see how, the distances I can run and the speeds at which I can run. And anyway, I would like it to be a form of exercise that I continue, but we shall have to see. But I told her that I was planning on running again today, and she said, take 1 Nurofen tonight, so this was last night, and 1 in the morning before you run. And I'm one of those people who really doesn't like to take medication. I really try and put it off as much as possible. And I even asked her, I was like, are you sure? Do I have to? And she said, well, at the end of the day, it's inflamed, so the Nurofen will help just bring down the inflammation. And, she's a doctor, I'm going to listen to her. So I took 1 last night, and this morning I couldn't feel any pain, which was already interesting. And I don't know if it's because I rested more last night. It was the first night I had a proper night's sleep in a few nights, or if it's because of the Nurofen, which is probably likely. And I was kind of thinking to myself, do I need to take a second one before I go for the run? I feel fine. But then I thought to myself, no, I should just in case. And I tried to run really slowly on purpose to try and be gentle with myself. And at first, I definitely, within 100 meters, the pain was back. And I was, again, very gentle, but it was there. And I was like, oh, this is not good. But then, as I kept running, I don't know if it's that my body sort of evened out, or if it was other pains, or if it was the Nurofen kicking in, but it disappeared completely. I didn't feel any pain, which is great, I think. This is something I did ask my mum, though, because I was like, what if the Nurofen sort of disguises the pain, and so I don't notice it, but then it's worse after the run? And she said, well, just see how you go. So we'll see in the next few hours if my leg is all right or if it's sore. But finishing the run, I didn't feel any pain in my leg, which is fantastic. So that's the backstory. And as I said, I tried to run a little bit slower as a result today. So let me tell you, I think my average pace was about 6:33, which is still a lot faster than other runs I've done, but from my recent average, it's slower. Yeah, it was 6:35 even. And I did just over 5 kilometers, although again, a little tiny bit of that was uphill. And looking at this, I was incredibly consistent. That's amazing. The first kilometer was 6:33, the second kilometer was 6:37, the third kilometer was 6:33, the fourth kilometer was 6:32, and the fifth kilometer was 6:34. That's amazing. I'm really, really pleased with that. And then, as I said and showed, I tried to do some strength training after because I've heard that it's good to do it directly after a run. I think I need to find more exercises and I'm going to make lists, and then hopefully we can really focus on that as well, especially if I need to run and train less. then maybe the strengthening exercises can be something that I can do sort of instead. So yeah, that's how we're starting off this week's running. I technically could run tomorrow, Friday and Sunday, I think. I can't remember if I'm working the morning or the evening on Sunday. Oh no, not Sunday. I'm working a very long day. Okay, but I do technically still have 2 more days that I could run. We'll see how my leg fares. If it's doing well tomorrow, I might try and do a longer run and then a shorter run on Friday, or vice versa. I don't know. We'll see. You'll see it all. You'll find out with me. All right. I'll see you hopefully tomorrow, I hope. Bye. Hello, I have 0 motivation. It is literally almost 2 o'clock and I've only just sort of warmed up and decided to go for a run. It is so grey and dreary and cold and wet, so rainy outside. So we'll see how we fare, but maybe that is going to help me because I quite like the rain. I'm hoping to run 5k and then do like 1 or 2 kilometers of intervals where I run for like 300 meters super fast and then walk a little bit and then same again. I forgot to mention I did that yesterday as well. After I finished my run at the 5k, I then stopped it on my phone, but then I did a little bit of walking and then I just like sprinted as fast as I could for the last like 150, maybe 200 meters, and like really fast. I think faster than I've ever done during my runs before. So I kind of feel like I want to do that again today because it felt really good to be able to do that. My left leg is sore again, mildly, but it is. So I am gonna have to be careful and I think the 5k might be a bit slower, but I'm hoping that I can still get some intervals in just to work on the speed and the power and, you know, prove to myself that I can do more. I might run to 6k, we'll see how I'm feeling. But I'm gonna go now because if I don't go now, if you don't go, you'll never know if you'll ever be good enough. Yeah, if I don't go now, I'm not gonna go. So let's go. It's so wet. My shoes are soaking my feet. So I'm gonna, oh, this is wet. I'm gonna slow to a walk now and then run the next stretch. 6, heading home now, but should be another kilometer or so of intervals. What a ridiculous run. Oh my goodness, I brought tissues with and that was useless because it was just wet paper towels by like 3 seconds in. And as I walked in, I tried to take this off, like taking the sleeve off, and look at this. It's like, it's not budging. It was, from the moment I went outside, soaking wet. Like I was outside for maybe 100 meters and I was already drenched. And not even from sweat, not even from sweat. This is so heavy and wet. Oh, that's such a shame. I don't even know where I can hang it for the time being. I feel like rain does help me a little bit, but it was wet. And my leg was mostly fine, but it's now, like literally as I was coming up the stairs, it's sore, very sore. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do some cool downs, and I don't know if I'm gonna shower first or eat first. But I'm gonna do all that and then I'll speak to you because this leg is so sore because I need to eat to be able to take some Nurofen. So that's the plan. But wow, that was something. Definitely something. And I'm glad I did it, even though my leg hurts now. I am glad I did it. Also, I realised it's exactly a month today that my race is, so I would have felt really weird about not running today, especially when I had the time to go for a run. So I am really glad I went, but I'm sore now and I need a warm shower and, you know, some food. I will see you later. Hello, that shower was much needed. I've just popped a dressing gown on yet because I'm not totally sure what I'm gonna wear. I am going to work this evening, so I feel like I kind of want to prepare for that, but we shall see. I've also hung up all my very wet clothes on a hanger and I'm just sort of leaving it to dry a little bit before I put it in the wash. But everything was soaking, especially my feet. Oh my goodness. And look now the sun's come out. That's typical, isn't it? Oh well, as I was saying earlier, I actually feel like rain maybe helps me a little bit. I used to think I was like Percy Jackson in terms of like the water gave me power. And I did feel that way a little bit. And also the fact that the park was empty kind of felt good to me and my music was on and I was just in my own world and it felt great. But it did feel wet. And I did sort of after the 2nd kilometer again feel that dip. I think that's just a thing that I'm always gonna have to live with. It usually starts sort of at 1.4, 1.5 and then goes until about the 3 kilometer mark and then I'm better. And at one point, I think it was sort of after the 3 kilometer mark certainly and before the 4th, I think. Or maybe it was after the 4th. There was definitely a point at which I really felt like I was in a rhythm and I wasn't even thinking about what I was doing and I was just moving without sort of worrying or thinking. I feel like the rain also really helped to distract me. I find running harder when I'm thinking about it and like thinking about my breathing and my legs and whatever. And because I was so obviously focused on the water and the puddles and whatnot, and the music, I felt like that really helped to not make it feel as hard. That being said, after the 4th kilometre, my left leg did start to hurt a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. And my right leg as well, which was odd. I was like, my right leg shouldn't be hurting. But then I started doing intervals after I finished the 5th kilometre. And I was quite pleased with how I did. I did find it tiring, but I did it. And I did it for 2 kilometres in the end. Although the end of the 7th kilometre sort of went out the window a little bit. Let's see what the pace was. So the average pace was slower, it was 6:47, but I do think that's just because I was walking more towards the end and I could feel that this is the most amount of walking I've done in a run in a long time. And I didn't like it. I was like, I actually would prefer to be running. So that's, I think, good that I'm feeling that way. This is interesting. My pace dropped hugely. It must have like stopped recording me or something, or maybe it didn't recognize the distance around the 3rd kilometre. I mean, I was, as you would have seen, filming every kilometre, so maybe that's why it sort of didn't recognize my movement or something. I don't know. It didn't have a problem with any of the other kilometre marks, but for some reason at the 3rd, it just really dips. And I can see it's literally between sort of 2.98 and 3.1. Very strange. But aside from that, my pace, let's see, the 1st kilometre, in fact. Yeah, my 1st kilometre was 5:45. And then it says the next few all say they were slower than usual, which is really weird to me, because I didn't feel like I was going that much slower. The 2nd kilometre was 6:50, 3rd was 6:45, 4th was 6:51, 5th was 6:26. This doesn't make sense. 6th was 6:55, so that's pretty solid, and then 7th was 7:57, which I knew that one would be slower. But I'm surprised by these splittings. I don't know what they're called in English. But what I really want to see was my pace when I was doing the sprints. So after the 5th kilometre, I walked for like, can I see? This can't be right. This is measuring things wrong. But I would have been walking for like 200 metres, and then I sprinted for, I'd say about 300. And my pace there was 4:50, so that's pretty good. Then I walked again, but even my walking there, my pace is 7. Oh, it does drop down to 8, okay, fine. And then my next sprint was around 5:30, also pretty good. Then I walked a bit more that was a slower one at 10:20, so that was a slower walk. And then my next sprint was again around 4:55-ish. Then I walked again at around 9:13-ish, and then I sprinted, and that was uphill as well, I think, at 5:12. And then I walked uphill a little bit, which was 11, so that was really slow. And then I did a few more sprints, but the sprints were more like my average pace. But they just felt like sprints because I was tired. But for once, this is interesting, for once my max pace is not in my 1st kilometre, it's in my like 5th or 6th kilometre. So I'm pleased I did the sprints. I'm glad I did the intervals. I don't really know how it helps, but I know that it's meant to, so we'll see. We'll see if it makes me a more efficient runner. I am surprised by how slow each kilometre was, but that can't be right. If my average tempo was 6:47, then there's no way that every kilometre was at 6:50. That just doesn't make sense. I don't know. I ended up doing 7 kilometres in 47 minutes, and I'm just glad I went out there in the horrendous weather and did 5 kilometres and did some intervals. I'm happy enough. And now I'm going to have some lunch and then take some Nurofen, just one for my leg, just in case, preventative. And I'm going to be on my feet for 4 hours at work, so I definitely do want to do what I can. All right. That's another run. We'll see if I do a run tomorrow. We'll see how I'm feeling and how my leg is feeling. But if I don't run, I'll do some strength training. That's something I did yesterday. Instead of writing it all down, which I do prefer handwritten stuff, but I had all these videos saved anyway into one folder on Instagram. So what I did was just made 3 separate folders, one for strength training, one for warm up, and one for cool down. And I just sort of allocated each video to whichever it belonged in. And I feel like that works better when it comes to stretches and stuff, because you can actually see what they're doing rather than trying to write out the moves. So hopefully, even if I don't run, I'll do some strength training tomorrow. Yay, fun. All right, I'm gonna have some lunch. I'll hopefully see you tomorrow. Bye. Hello, another day where I have zero motivation to run. It's almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I did again watch the tennis this morning, but it is a much nicer day. It's more sunny. It's actually clouded over a little bit now, but it was quite sunny this morning. And my legs are feeling fine, and I'm not going to be able to run again until Wednesday, so I'm kind of just like, I need to go today, and then if I need to rest, I've got 4 or 5 days to rest. So I'm wearing the new shoes, and I'm going to take a slightly different route because I think the park's going to be quite muddy and wet, and so I don't want to get the new shoes dirty yet. I'm sure they'll get dirty at some point, but that's all right. I don't really have a goal for this. I'm going to take a different route, as I said, and I'm just going to run down and then run back up and see how far that gets me and then see what else I want to do. The route I'm planning on taking does have lots of like roads and side roads and stuff that I need to cross, which is annoying because I don't like stopping for cars, but I'm just gonna do it. It's a road I've been intending to run down for a while and I just keep not doing, so I'm finally gonna do it. I have absolutely no idea how long I'm gonna be, how many kilometers, I just don't have a clue, but I'm gonna go even though I have no motivation, and also we'll see how the feet fare in the new shoes and the legs, you know, with all the extra pressure I've been putting on them. So we're just gonna, as long as I move, as long as I go out, that's all I care about for today. So I'm gonna head out now and I will speak to you after and let you know how it's all gone. Yay. Hello, I did 5 kilometers. It was a tough 5 kilometers, but I will speak more about it after. Around the 4th kilometer, my legs started hurting a bit. And as soon as I stopped running, as soon as I hit the 5K, my legs, both of them, but especially the one that's prone to weakness, shall we say, is very sore now. So I'm gonna do a lot of cooling down, shower, wash my hair, and then I'll talk to you after, but I'm sore. Maybe I pushed myself too far. Oh, I'm very sore. All right, yay. Okay, so far what I've done for my cool down, which is just my regular cool down, I've done a bunch of squats, although less than what I usually do, half of what I usually do. More lunges than I normally do, but lunges. And then the plank and stretching out my calves, just like a regular calf stretch like this, like that. But now I'm gonna have a look at my saved playlist of cool down exercises from Instagram and see what they have to suggest. Okay, I've currently only got 4 videos saved. So one's a 10 minute by Lot Liu. One is just a calf stretch at the moment by Tori.fit. One is by Abby Dennis on Fit, which is also a 10-minute post-run stretch. And one is by SJC.physio, which is about your recovery. So I'm gonna just have a look at all 4 of those, look at all the different stretches they offer. Any that have weights we're gonna cut out, obviously, and just gonna see what we can do. Okay, first 2 stretches I saw are a regular lunge and then with the twist. So we're gonna do that first. It's Sunday night. I never spoke about my other run on Friday or whatever it was, and I will come back to that. I'm absolutely exhausted, but I've just checked my emails and I've fundraised already £350, which is just amazing, and I just wanted to share that. I'm very excited about that. My new goal, once I surpassed 250, which I did a couple of days ago, was to reach 375. So I really think that's doable, but if we can go even higher, please keep donating. It's amazing to see, and that's my egg. Just very touched, very moved, and yeah, just means a lot. Yay. Hello, once again, I'm not running today and I'm not doing sort of any form of exercise out other than climb up and down all the stairs, both at work and at home. And, you know, I'll do a couple of squats later. But I mentioned, I think last night, that I reached my 375 goal, I think. This morning, I decided to check my emails when I got into work, and I'd surpassed £500, which is just insane. And then about 10 minutes later, someone donated over 100. So I'm now over £600, which is just crazy. I'm not expecting any more donations between, you know, now and the race. I feel like I've really reached every person that's going to donate. But if we could get it to 750, if we could get it to 3 times my goal, that would be so amazing. So if you haven't donated yet and you're able to, even just 5 or 10 or £2, £1 would be so appreciated. Yes, I've been able to reach 600 because of some big donations, which have been incredibly generous, but I've also been able to reach it because of the many people who donated smaller amounts, because without that, I would not be where I am now. So I'm so grateful to the people who have already donated. And again, if you haven't, just link below. But I genuinely almost burst into tears when I saw that this morning. I'm in shock. Like, I'm just measly little me, you know? I'm just measly little me. And as a result, I saw that and I was like, oh, this feels good. You know, fundraising feels really good. And it's something I've said in the past for birthdays and things like that I would prefer instead of gifts, because I don't like gifts and I'd much rather people donated in my name. But people generally don't really like doing that unless there's a cause like this. So I was thinking, what else can I do fundraising wise? And I did see a skydiving, which was tempting, and it was only £70. as in for the entry fee. And I'm saying only because when I went skydiving in Australia, it would have been the equivalent of about double that, I think. So maybe we can do that for the next birthday or something. But then the other thing that came up that I'm like thinking about, which is crazy, is half marathons. And the fact that I'm even considering that is ridiculous. And on the one hand, I'm like, oh, I should, enter all the ballots because most of them are already gone. But for anything that is still open, just in case. But then I'm thinking, no, let me see how I manage with the 10K first. Like I need to do the 10K before I can commit or even think about a half marathon. I just like the idea of training for a purpose and building from the 10K to the next sort of major distance, I suppose. Obviously, you have to get through like 15 and 20 and even 11 first. But I like the idea of it. And also just something to like keep me moving. And I really like the feeling of fundraising. I really enjoy being the person sort of to do that. And I think it hits me more because I never thought I was the person to do that. I always wanted to be, but I just never had enough connections or enough of a community, shall we say, or I don't know, community's the wrong word. Maybe I mean like people who can afford to donate, because I do know that that's a big problem for people, especially my age. But to see that people do sort of come together when there is a good cause for it and good reason, it feels amazing. But then I also worry, I'm like, well, if I fundraise again too soon after this, no one's going to want to donate again. They're going to be like, no, we gave to Raquel like 5 minutes ago. So we'll see. But suffice it to say, I feel really good and it's getting me really motivated to run. I'm like, I can't run for the next few days because I'm working and I've got plans after work as well. But Thursday is my first day off and I'm intending to go for a long run. I feel the motivation and we'll see how I actually feel when I'm running, but I feel motivated by how much I've fundraised to push myself further and harder. We'll see. But thank you to everyone who has donated so far. And again, if you would like to, the link is below. Thank you. Hello. I'm still not sure if I ever spoke about my run on, was it Sunday? Or whichever day it was. The last run I did, I don't know if I ever spoke about it. Honestly, at this point, I feel like I've forgotten. So if I haven't, I'm sorry. Was it the 5 kilometer struggle? Maybe. I think last Friday was the one in my new shoes and I took a different route and it was definitely tougher. But I did it. I completed 5 kilometers without stopping. I feel like so far for the last sort of since January, since this year, except the first like 1 or 2 runs, I've been able to run 5 kilometers without stopping consistently. And that feels really good. Even if it does feel tough while I'm doing it, it feels great to know that I can do that. And I think I'll start a new running vlog for tomorrow when I'll be running again. But I think my plan for tomorrow is to try and push myself even further if I can. But you'll have to wait and see until next week to find out about that. But the reason I've pulled you out today, it's Wednesday night and I'm definitely not planning on running. But I do think I want to do maybe half an hour of stretch training, maybe less, who knows. More than anything, I'm cold and I've got the time and, time to kill. So I think I'm just gonna do some stretches and strengthening, not stretches. Well, some of the stretches seem to be strengthening. So again, I'm gonna go through my saved Instagram folder of strength training exercises and I'm just gonna work my way through them. I really try to avoid anything with weights or resistance bands because I don't have those. So let's see what we can do. I have already done 20 squats today, but I don't feel like that counts for very much. Yay! All right, I've got quite a lot saved actually, more than I thought. The first video we're gonna go is called It Would Be Great If It Didn't Make Noise at Me. It was called something like Strength Training for Leg Day or something. And it's by Sans X Fitness. So let's give it a go. There's a few different moves. I won't film myself doing them. I kind of feel like, I feel weird about it. I get self-conscious and I don't want to be thinking about the camera or the angles and I just want to do the moves because also it takes longer. So let's just do it and then I will tell you what I do after and how I'm feeling. Hello, I'm going to do some lateral squats while I'm talking to you, which I've never heard of these as lateral squats, but hey ho. I am rubbish at this. First of all, I don't have the floor space for it. Second of all, I don't have like a yoga mat or anything and the floor is uneven. I think I've spoken about this before. So I just don't have like the best environment to be doing this. But then third of all, I've also got incredibly distracted. I've got some emails that I keep thinking about and having to deal with and oh my gosh, my life is just so busy. I genuinely can't believe it. Never mind, I'm not gonna delve into it all because I've just realized this isn't a vlog, this is part of the running video. Although that being said, I did have a panic this morning about the fact that there are just over 3 weeks until the run. One of those weeks I won't be doing any running, basically, because I will be in Holland. I might need to go for a run after work one day. And I'm super busy the other 2 weeks in the lead up to the run, so I just feel time's running out. That's from Newsies, but I couldn't remember any other part. But I've basically just been getting very distracted, and so I'm not doing very well at any of this, but I'm trying to do something, and I feel like that's better than nothing. Maybe it's not. Maybe, you know, doing something half-heartedly doesn't achieve the results, but I'm trying, you know, I'm putting in some effort. Wow, I feel like this vlog has really been like the week of strength training. I feel like that's been my focus this week, and I think it's good to finally be thinking about that, because I probably should have been thinking about it weeks ago, months ago, but hey ho, better late than never. I'm gonna try and give myself, it's 12 minutes to 6. I'm gonna try and force myself to just focus for 12 minutes and just get stuff done. I'll speak to you after if I've succeeded or not. It's 6:05 and I did, you know, consecutive time without stopping and without getting distracted. That being said, I did have to keep checking my phone to see sort of the next exercise, but I feel pretty good about that. I probably could do more, I just can't be bothered. And I really think a big part of it is the floor. I think if I had like a yoga mat or something, I'd be far more encouraged, but I can already feel I've got like cuts on my foot, not cuts, but like there are parts of my foot that have dug into the floor at the wrong angle or whatever, and they're just not very happy. And my knees, anytime I had to be on my knees, they were sore. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be getting a yoga mat, especially not before the race. So just gonna have to make do. But I'm glad I did something, you know, I did something, which is good. I am gonna leave this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I think when this goes out, it's maybe 1 week until the actual race, I think. I don't think I've spoken about my donations. It has just kept growing and I'm so moved and so touched. It was shared onto a Jewish page and I've got to say the Jewish community really came through. I think I've surpassed 750, which means I've made over 3 times what I had intended to make. That being said, there is still time, and obviously the more the better. It's for a really important charity. So for the last time this video, if you can, the link is below, even just a couple of pounds, anything would be really greatly appreciated. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week in the next video. Bye!